All right, a lot to talk about this week. I think this one's going to get deep, especially if you've ever wanted to learn the dynamics between a narcissist and an empath. Aaron Doughty, how are you?
Doing awesome, man. Thanks for having me on.
I think this is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Where did all of this begin for you? Where did this knowledge, the spiritual journey, spirituality, where did this start for you?
For me, it started back in the process of overcoming a lot of the childhood wounding that happened back when I was a kid. Back in 2012, I had a spiritual awakening where I became aware of a lot of these patterns that were on autopilot since childhood. I became just aware of how much that was affecting me in my life. I kind of woke up and realized that a lot of the dynamics that were in my life at the time in 2012 were replayed similar childhood dynamics from earlier on in my life. I was working at a job selling women's shoes at Nordstrom's in Las Vegas. The manager of that department that I worked for like 4 years, she was almost the same exact personality as my ex-stepmom, who was in my life from when I was about 7 to 17 years old. So I had someone in my life that was controlling, that was manipulative, that was, my brother and I, we didn't have a lot of freedom. We weren't allowed to have friends, weren't allowed to, we had to earn going to school activities, we'd have to sneak food to get enough food to eat. My dad was a firefighter, or is a firefighter, so he was gone a lot of the times, but she got away with a lot and her power kind of increased. And then towards the end, eventually my dad divorced her. And when my dad divorced her, it was like a whole new world. My brother and I had all this freedom. We were allowed to have friends, allowed to have enough food to eat, allowed to, not have to earn going to school activities. However, with that came this energy that was like all this freedom was there, but also there was anxiety that came with that. This is something I became aware of later, where there was, I realized looking back, once I had my awakening in 2012, that even after my ex-stepmom left my life when I was 17 years old, I attracted at once, a year or two later, a girlfriend that was very controlling and jealous. She was in my life for like 3 or 4 years. And then I broke up with her. And then when I broke up with her, I got transferred to a better shoe department at Nordstrom's, BP shoes to salon shoes, which is more commission, it's better. The manager, though, of that department, within 2 weeks of breaking up with my ex, was the same exact personality construct of my ex-stepmom. So there was always someone in my life that I felt like I had to fight against in order to have my power, to be in general. Yeah. And what happened is in 2012, I became aware of all these patterns. I became aware of the fact that I'm still in the same pattern that I was when I was a kid. And there's something that felt quote unquote safe or familiar about that. Being in a 9-to-5 job I don't necessarily enjoy, having a boss. Funny enough, that boss, she would get away with everything because she was protected by upper management. So we tried to get her fired for things that she actually do, but she would be protected.
Same way your stepmom.
Exactly
the same way.
So I would go to the stepmom, go to school and say something that was happening. We would get so punished so badly that we wouldn't say anything ever again. If we were to tell a therapist or someone at school anything that happened, we'd get in more trouble. So there were these stories that I had. Life's not fair. I have to fight for my freedom. Here I am in 2012. Life's not fair. I have to fight for my freedom. And when I learned meditation in 2012, that's really where everything shifted. At the time, I was taking Adderall, which after I wasn't allowed to have much of a personality from 7 to 17. So after I had all this freedom, and I had my 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes, was going to college, my personality came through, and I became much more loud and outgoing. But with that came things like people like, you have so much energy. And then basically I got prescribed Adderall, which is for having ADHD. And I was taking that, and there were harsh side effects of it. Like you couldn't eat very much, you couldn't sleep very much. So here I am selling women's shoes, taking Adderall during the day, smoking weed at night, just so that I could balance out the symptoms of the Adderall. And basically what happened is I realized I was on a hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, there's got to be a better way than taking Adderall to focus. And that's when I came across meditation online. And the first 2 or 3 days of meditation didn't really have that great of a result. It was like I was more in my head. I was trying to control my thoughts, creating a lot of resistance. But the 4th day in, I read something that talked about observing the thoughts, not trying to control them. So I started doing this specific meditation where I stare at a candle flame and I observe my thoughts as they come in, not trying to control them. And as I started to do that, there was this shift that happened inside of me where I felt more expansive. I started feeling more present to the moment. And then I started to become aware that I may think thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. And that's where I started becoming aware of these patterns that I'm talking about, where I'm like, oh, the ex-stepmom stuff, the control of around women, or that of the like life's not fair. I started to become aware of these beliefs. And that's when ultimately I started doing this inner work. And then after that in 2012, I spent 5 years researching all of this stuff, going to seminars, looking online, reading books. And then in 2017, I was working at Barney's New York in women's shoes. And similar dynamic, was more aware, but still in a 9-to-5 job. And that's when I decided to make daily videos on YouTube every day, no matter what. I committed to like this new version of myself of like being a YouTuber. I kind of, the name of your podcast is like, I kind of had a download from my own higher self that said, make a video every single day on YouTube and your life will transform. So in February of 2017, I committed to daily videos. And within 6 months, I had over 100,000 subscribers. I was able to put in my 2 weeks at my 9-to-5 job. And I still made daily videos for probably 3 or 4 more years. Grew my channel to over 1 million subscribers. And it's been a process of me just really doing the inner work and sharing on my YouTube channel the process that I'm going through, like what I'm learning, and kind of sharing all of that. So as you can imagine, the empath narcissist stuff, a lot of that came from experience.
Absolutely.
Of continually attracting narcissistic people into my life and then looking at myself and saying, what part of myself has normalized this energy?
That's right, man.
Maybe there's some way this feels safe or familiar. So that's maybe part of the reason why I keep attracting it.
It's so interesting. I get the most heat on social media when I share with people, if you had a narcissist in your life,
yeah,
maybe you're the one that co-created the situation,
right?
And people cannot handle that and understand.
They're like, I'm so sensitive.
Right. Yeah, and I get it, but I want you all to pay attention, because the thing that you didn't mention was the energy also affects your money. Yeah. Right? It affects your capacity to see the bandwidth you have to receive more abundance.
For sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which kept you in the same like shoe salesman position until one day you decided, no, this ends here. Right?
Yeah.
The second thing I want you all to notice he said was that, I keep saying this, you literally are the creator of it all.
Yeah.
You're creating from an energy that you are not aware of.
Yes.
That is present within you.
Yeah.
Right? What was that like for you when you finally became aware? Like, oh shit, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, when I became aware of this energy, I started to see my role in it all. And at first, there was a certain amount of anger that I had towards my past self, because I could see that I kind of normalized a certain energy pattern for so long. And there was a part of myself that was angry that I didn't set boundaries sooner. There was a part of myself that just felt, frustrated. But that's where the empowerment really came, because for me, when I understood what I learned, which was I learned a process for feeling safe inside of my own body, and what empath narcissist connection is, or the way that I look at it, just to give context for this whole thing, is as kids, many times, we may attune to our parents for safety. So if we weren't individuated or allowed to have our own thoughts or opinions as a kid, and there's tension in our household, in order to not feel tension, what empaths will do as kids, we can feel everyone else's energy, we'll say, who do I need to be to ease the tension in the family? It then becomes a survival mechanism to tune to mom or dad to feel safe, to say, how do I need to be in order to feel safe? So what happens is the empath will abandon themselves to make everybody else happy. And then the empaths have that of an abandonment wound. Well, the thing for an empath to learn is how to be in their own frame of reality, because they, in effect, don't have a strong frame of reality, if any at all, because they're constantly tuning. Now, here's the thing that really shifted it for me. When I realized that the narcissists and empaths, they tend to attract each other a lot, because they have the same core wound. They have an abandonment wound. Now, the modes for which the empath and the narcissist get their needs met is different, but also both the same in that it's manipulative. The narcissist takes and demands in order to get their needs met. It's much more overt. The empath will give to then get, so it's more covert. But it will give in order to help somebody else, in order to fix somebody else, so that then they can feel safe, then they can feel enough, then they can feel worthy. So both are doing something very similar in a different way. If, of course, this is much more obviously overt, and this maybe comes from a good place, but the epiphany for me was realizing that that's my role in this play is also you get something from it.
Right.
The payoff that you get from it. You get to be the one to fix someone else. And I believe we attract people into our life to close the loop from childhood a lot of times.
That's right.
So if we want to try to close the loop from childhood, and our childhood is of a very demanding, highly critical parent, we may be attracting highly critical people into our life to show us and for us to learn the lesson. And I've seen many people go through this, including my own dad, where I could see that my dad, who is very good at his job, also, though, he's can be a nice guy, right?
You know what, man? As you were speaking, I just kept wanting to say, nice guy, nice guy, nice guy.
Yeah.
Because that was me, by the way.
Yeah.
That was me. It's so funny. I was called a narcissist, and I'm sitting here thinking, fuck, I was like the secret undercover empath.
Oh, wow,
yeah. I was constantly trying to make sure that you were happy.
Yeah.
Right? Because so that you could see me as a nice guy.
Yeah.
So then my needs could get met.
Right.
Which is, it's the same. It's manipulative.
Yes.
Quite frankly.
Yes. Yeah. And the key for me of understanding this energy was learning the payoff that you get from fixing or helping someone else. But the real difference was when I learned something called the frame technique. I call it the frame technique. It's I think it's called the Zazen practice, but basically I had a shadow work integration coach who had a double PhD in Carl Jung psychology, and he actually taught me this technique, which is extremely simple, also includes that of a candle flame. But what you do is you stare at a candle flame, and on the in-breath, you feel the space and the separation between you and the flame while looking intently at the flame. So you're feeling the space. And then on the out-breath, you still look at the flame, but you relax your peripheral to include around the flame without you're not looking your eyes everywhere, but you're just seeing the peripheral. And as you do this process, emotion may come up in your body, but ultimately you're going to start to feel the boundaries of where self and other lies. Because ultimately what the empath narcissist trauma bond is a debate, or not a debate, but it's a dilemma around that of self versus other. Whereas think about it, as an empath, you see other everywhere. Everything else, or you could see self everywhere. Your emotions are my emotions. I must mitigate your emotions, and now I'm taking responsibility for it, and I feel so sensitive I can feel everyone else's energies.
Sure.
So it's almost like there's no boundary of understanding of what's my stuff versus what's your stuff. What's your responsibility? What's my responsibility? And then on the narcissist, everything is self in the sense that like they manipulate to get their needs met, but it's almost like their antidote or whatever, their lesson is to learn more of the empathy to others, whereas empaths are meant to learn how to feel more safe inside of themselves and to actually feel the separation. So something that I see helps a lot of people. I get people I meet in public if they recognize me from my videos or at live events or on YouTube. Like the frame technique is the thing that people say really has impacted them the most. And it's so simple. You just feel the separation between you and people in your life, you and the wall, you and the flame. And as you feel separation, you may start to feel safe in your own body. And as you feel safe inside of your own body, you're more magnetic, you're more attractive, you're more able to be in your own frame of reality, because the energy is contained within our body. When we are sending and thinking of someone else, we're sending them energy. I went to this life transformation place in Costa Rica one time, and there was a consciousness teacher there, and she was teaching energy, and she had everyone in the front, she had everyone in the crowd send her energy at the front of the room. She said, everyone send me energy, everyone send me energy, everyone send me energy. And she said, as everyone was sending her energy, she felt repelled. She's like, you can feel it's intrusive, and it repels you. She goes, now everyone in the crowd, bring the energy back in your body, bring the energy back in your body, bring the energy back in your body. And she says, the energy difference is now you guys are magnetic to me. Like because there's a different energy there. So this is also similar to that frame technique. So when I first learned this, I was living in Sedona at the time. This is right after the lockdown and all that stuff. But I remember going out to like Whole Foods or going out on a hike, and just the way I was relating to people, there was like nothing I needed from someone else, but feeling safe inside of my body, people would respond to me differently. It was like there was nothing I necessarily needed because I felt safe just me being me. But it's really cool to see, like at live events, sometimes I'll have people do exercises where they focus on the separation and feel that energy difference, because you can feel it energetically when someone wants something from you. They're projecting at you, and you're kind of like, no.
Sure.
But if they're in their own frame and they're good, you're like, oh, I want to know more from this person,
Right.
or I want what this person has to offer, or get to know them more, you know?
It's impossible for you to have a successful relationship with another human being or a partner if you don't have a successful relationship with yourself. And what we as human beings don't realize is that we are deeply disconnected. We're disconnected from Mother Earth, we're disconnected from peace, we're disconnected from love. What we do at Awaken is we curate different exercises to help you reconnect first to yourself, and then the beautiful process of reconnecting to everybody begins. And that's why Awaken is so powerful. You'll do more in 3 days at Awaken than you would do 30 years anywhere else.
I was so stuck, and now I feel peace.
Awakening has been the best thing we have done for our marriage.
Coming here, I realized that the answers were inside of me all the time.
Head on over to DannyMorel.com/awaken now to get your tickets today. It's interesting. You know, what I keep thinking of is like, I want this to be granular for people.
Yeah.
But let's take social media, for example.
Yes.
Right? It's the difference between someone who is actively wanting your attention.
Yeah.
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 It's like you can tell that they want your energy. They want your attention. They want your validation. They want
Right.
your approval. So they're willing to do whatever to get that attention.
Yep.
I always like to bring it back to like women use their bodies.
Yeah.
Right. Men use their cars. It's the
Yep.
same thing. You're using
Yeah.
what your mama gave you or what you went out and found for yourself. Right. But if you think about it, then all of a sudden, there's that person that doesn't need anything from you.
Yeah.
Doesn't want anything from you. Maybe just genuinely wants to like serve you and help you,
Yeah.
and you're drawn to them.
Right.
And I can bring up that example because that was me.
Yeah.
For so long, I wanted people's attention, and I stood
Yeah.
in front of the Aston Martin, and I showed the suit, and I posed with the little
Right.
fucking guy, man. But it was my wounding, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And then it's like when you become aware of that, when you become aware of all the different places in your life, please pay attention to this, where you are seeking and needing and requiring from other people. Think about how many people in your family like love to get sick
Yeah.
because they were taught in life that sick means attention.
Yeah.
Healthy means no attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like we go around not understanding subconsciously that we're asking for people, giving them this huge burden of meeting our own needs, right? So it's like, I'm going to project my mom or dad stuff onto you. It's like, meet my needs, see me. I didn't feel seen, heard, soothed, or nurtured growing up, so please do that for me. And we're projecting all of this burden onto other people and then asking for them to give it to us. And it's such a high demand to do, but people, energy doesn't lie. People can feel when you want something from them. And then the other way people goes about this is through the more covert way of like, I'm going to give you this, be really nice, and then you'll give me this. And it never really works that way because it's manipulative.
Dude, I have some friends. You know exactly who I'm talking about. I can't call them friends anymore, but it's like every single message. Hey brother, I love you. Hey brother,
Yeah.
I miss you. Man, you don't fucking miss me or love me. You want to be on the goddamn podcast.
Yeah.
I already know. And I know why you want to be on the podcast, so you can promote your damn ayahuasca center. And it's like,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And by the way, you shouldn't be promoting no damn ayahuasca center, because if you need to be on the podcast and you're covertly using, you haven't gotten the message yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just so interesting.
Yeah. Once you start working through this stuff, you can definitely see it in other people, see it in yourself, and it becomes this interesting thing where you're just more aware of the pattern. So now when I meet someone, not in a judgmental way, because I think also everybody at a certain level, there's like a spectrum, and we all have certain parts of our wounding that might be on that spectrum, but there can be a lot of shame that comes with, oh, I'm an empath, I can feel other people's energies. And when I say empath as well, sometimes there's like a delineation between an empath, someone that can just feel other people's energies, which is like maybe something almost everybody can do at a certain level.
Yep.
And being like overly sensitive to that. But there's shame that comes with like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I think most people have a certain bandwidth of this in their life, and there's like a spectrum of it, but helps people kind of release the shame around it. Because if you believe, oh, I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, you get attached to the label, it can be like a... And think about it too. I will say this as well. When you think of as a kid and you think of feeling safe in your bottom 3 chakras, if you didn't feel safe in your bottom 3 chakras, what I think a lot of empaths did is they moved their energy as a survival mechanism into their third eye, and then is able to connect to everybody in their environment as a safety mechanism to know, am I safe? So they then have this overly active third eye intuition connection center to everybody else. And that's why the frame technique brings you back into your body to then feel the separation between you and other people, to feel the space inside of your body. Breath work is something that allows that energy to come up to be cleared. But I share that analogy because it's kind of easier to understand the chakras and like the third eye, because a lot of empaths also become super sensitive, spiritual starseeds that can, and that I think also, not that we need to feel shame about this, but being grounded in reality in this, in what we're experiencing, I think is so important as well.
Aaron, I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because on the flip side of that is a lot of empaths get a lot of attention for being an empath.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
For being to be fair, this happened to me, we're all one. So we all go through it,
Right.
But like when you first start your spiritual journey, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm an empath and I feel everybody's energy.
Yeah.
I can't be in the room, because it's a way of getting attention.
Right.
It's a way of the ego stepping in, right? And what you're saying, like, please listen, guys, to what he's saying is like, real power is when you're in you.
Yes.
And when you're in you, it doesn't matter what's happening out here.
Yeah.
Because you're in you.
Right.
And that's where the real power comes from. And that's when, quite frankly, your entire life changes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like inside out transformation.
For sure.
Because otherwise it doesn't feel very empowering to be like, well, I just feel everyone's energy so much. I can't go out in public ever. I can't go to these group dinners. I can't do anything because I'm just so sensitive. It's like, well, that gets to be your kind of initiation into feeling safe inside of your own body. Like when you go out, you can focus on feeling inside of your spine, feeling inside of your body, feeling the separation between you and other people. And the more that becomes your lesson, not lesson, but in a way, like I can tell that my dad attracted my ex-stepmom as somebody that's constantly testing his boundaries, to constantly ask for him to get into his own frame of reality, in a way stand up for what he wants, what he needs, and what's actually right or true.
So true.
And it's like I see certain people that keep attracting these patterns, but it doesn't leave your life until you learn the lesson. And the lesson might be to say no and to set a boundary with them and to not engage energy with that person and try to fix them to get validation or whatever it is. But it also may be to be in your own frame, to express yourself, and maybe they're in your life still. It depends on the person, right? But they learn how to stand in their power. And that's the lesson. Once you're really in your power and you don't feel guilt, because not that you don't feel guilt, it's actually like you want to feel the guilt to process it. But where does guilt come from? When people say, I feel guilty setting boundaries, the guilt comes because they feel responsible for their emotions. Your tension is my tension. So I can't set boundaries with you because I'll feel tension because your tension is my tension. So guilt is attached to responsibility. So the key is recognizing that if someone else feels tension, that might be the lesson that they need. You may be enabling like certain people in your life, mom, dad, siblings, other people in your life, by continually bending your frame for them, where actually the medicine they may need is for you to stand in your power and to express yourself, or to even set distance and boundaries as a consequence for a certain type of energy behavior.
So fucking good. So fucking spot on.
Yeah.
Let's give them a real world example. Let's pretend you're in a relationship with someone, for example, who is jealous.
Yeah.
Right? That jealousy is an insecurity. It's a wounding inside of them that, by the way, or that lies, or that whatever. This is where you got to learn the lesson. It's not them, it's you. Right? Because you also played a role through your energy in attracting that person who felt comfortable enough energetically for their energy and their wounding to latch on to you.
Yes.
Like there was safety in them to be jealous with you.
Yes.
Because if you were in your power, well, I'm not.
Well, think if there was somebody that's emotionally secure in their attachment style, they probably wouldn't be attracted to the narcissistic person, or even a covert, like somebody that's like covertly doing something similar, you know? So there's a hook there that's grabbing you in. So in that real life example, if somebody else, so you're saying someone else is jealous.
A jealous, a liar. You know,
right, whatever the energy is.
Whatever the energy is.
It's the biggest key for people that are empaths is to learn the process of being more vulnerable. Vulnerability. Expressing what you feel when you feel it and not holding it in. Because the abandonment wound is there. So it's like if I express how I feel, then what'll happen is I could get rejected. So instead, I'm going to put on this front, like, nope, it's okay. I'll be passive aggressive. So it's okay. You go hang out with your friends, you know, but it's like underneath the surface, there's all this other stuff going on. So for both the person that's jealous and the person that is the empath or whatever it is, the key is expressing yourself and how you're feeling. And when someone else is speaking, to listen to them and to be there with them, but to also understand that your job in your in the relationship is to express yourself, and it's not your job to manage their emotions, but maybe you can be understanding. You can express that you understand how they feel, and that, you know, work out a compromise or whatever it is. But it comes from the expression of the vulnerability to allow that energy to come to the surface, because when you were a kid, it may not have been safe to be vulnerable, because to be vulnerable was to get pain, rejection, abandonment. So that's where the work really is. It's on becoming emotionally available. A lot of empaths believe they're emotionally available. And that's the challenge, because there's also a story there that this other person that's not coming around, this person that's a narcissist, there's a blame energy there.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had a pattern where I was blaming other people in my life for things, because I also was blaming people from my childhood. This is why I didn't have much of a childhood. I didn't have much freedom, blah, blah, blah. That became a pattern of blame that I continued to do, and I was externalizing my own power. So part of it is becoming aware of these stories and being aware of how you might be abandoning yourself, but also to become more emotionally available means and recognizing that what you may have been attracted to is actually emotional unavailability at a deeper subconscious level. Because sometimes in childhood, you may be addicted to the highs and the lows of love that's hot and then cold. So what happens is empaths want the extremely passionate, loving relationship that has all these highs and lows where they have to fight for their love. But then you meet somebody that's emotionally secure and you're like, this is boring. There's no emotional high and low here.
Yeah.
So part of it is attuning your nervous system to feeling safe inside of your own body, and then learning what that looks like in relating to other people, and not identifying someone that's super attractive that you're into because you're trying to gain from them approval or validation to get their attention, to turn them because you're secretly trying to turn mom or dad to see your value, subconsciously projecting it. It's about really coming back to yourself, living by the values of vulnerability, authenticity, living in your power, feeling safe inside of your own body, being grounded. Like, these are all things that allow you to stop abandoning yourself which then allow you to relate to other people in a new way.
So I'm gonna tee one up for you. Here's a good one, okay? I hope you're ready for it.
Okay.
So you're obviously someone that gets it. You
Yeah.
understand dynamics between human beings, which means you obviously understand dynamics between you and another human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet at this part of your life, you're single right now.
Yeah.
Right? So for you, as someone that gets it, I want to know two things for the audience that's listening. Like, number one, this is important because a lot of our listeners are women.
Okay.
Yeah. And they all say the same thing. Where are all the good men at?
Yeah.
Right? So what you're really looking for is someone who gets it, who's emotionally available, who's able to take care of you, who's able to show you love, right? So I want to flip this. I want to hear from you as a single man when you're out there looking for someone, or maybe not looking, whatever your process is. Like, how do you know when it feels good? How do you know when it feels safe with a woman?
Well,
what's that thing?
It really is like an attunement to I think your own nervous system, to feeling safe inside of your own body. But then when you're interacting with other people, becoming aware of where the childhood wounding might be, to where like, oh, I'm very interested in this person, but it's coming with this kind of like energy from the past that you can see. Or if someone's playing games, for example, whereas back in the past you may have played the game and kind of gone through this like this energy thing where you kind of give and then take, and then, you know, like the games that are so often played in social media.
I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I think this is good for them to hear.
Yeah.
I remember before I met Jen, I was dating this Colombian girl. And true story, I thought that my wife was going to be from Colombia. Right.
Yeah.
By the way, this is going to sound like a blanket statement. I don't intend for it to be a blanket statement. It was just my experience.
Yeah.
So if you want to get mad at me by all means. Right? So, you know, what I started noticing was that since Colombian women are known across the world to be so beautiful, there's a little manipulation there. You know, there's a little like, I know you think I'm hot, so therefore I'm going to like
a feistiness.
I'm going to tug at you, right? And so, and you know, and when I was not aware, oh, you look good, I'm in, right? Because I'm man, I want look good, right?
Yeah.
But then, right, like a fucking caveman, right?
Caveman,
right? But then when you're aware, you start to see these things,
right?
Right? You start to see, it's like, why did you just say that?
Right.
Why did you do that? What are you trying to get me to need? Or what need are you trying to get me to fulfill? You know what I'm saying? And I remember there was this one in particular girl who was really pretty. Ladies, please listen. I hope this is helpful for you guys. Really pretty, really smart, really spiritual. But I felt the need for her to try to control me by manipulating me. And I wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
And it's what caused me to go, and these are the little things that you're talking about. It's like, can you become aware of that little energy, those little things that people unconsciously try to do to you? And then if you really love them and you see a future, you stand for truth.
Right.
And you say, listen, like, you don't need to do that with me.
Yeah.
And you give them the space, or you hold space for them to unravel that part of them. And then you can, I think it's a beautiful way of healing.
Yeah.
But I think awareness is key.
Awareness is like is a huge part of the process, because what you're not aware of runs you, you know?
So true.
So the awareness around the energy and the patterns is powerful. For me, what I noticed, like the breakthrough is when it comes to dating and when it comes to like being single, is becoming aware of where your opportunity for growth is as well. The growth around being emotionally available, growth around like opening the heart and expressing who you are, but also doing it from a place of not being attached to outcome. Knowing also, like, what do you actually want? Because if there's no standard, you'll kind of merge. Think about an empath, right? There's no boundary. There's not that awareness of where the boundary is. If you become more aware of what you want and what kind of relationships you want and where your edge is and where like your sweet zone is, when you're going on dates, not that you're intellectually in your mind putting everyone through this mental filter, but what is the energy of the person that you that you want to feel safe with, that you want to feel like you're in a loving relationship with, what qualities does that person have? How do you feel when you're around them? What kind of things do you guys do together? And as you have more of an awareness of what this energy is, then when you're dating, you're able to see the green flags, as well as, once you're aware of the patterns from your past, the red flags.
That's right.
And what you're saying is that you became aware of this manipulation factor of the red flags that you noticed in that woman. So you then were able to draw back your energy and not be swayed by it so much.
That's right.
So I think when it comes to attracting love in general, I'm a huge fan of also meditations, like guided meditation processes and experiences for charging your energetic field with love within yourself. And I believe we all have an energetic field around our body that has within it the accumulated thoughts and emotions that we continuously think and feel. So what happens is people a lot of times look around wanting to attract love, and what they keep putting into their field is, I want love, I want love, I want love, which means I lack love, I lack love, I lack love. So something very powerful to do is every day to do a meditation where you envision, visualize, and feel the gratitude for the love that's already in your life. You can visualize the quality and the energy of the dynamic of a loving relationship you'd like to be in. You can feel it as if it's already here. And what you prime your energy field with every day begins to grow over time. So as you do that, and as you look for the gratitude of what's happening inside your life with the people that you're with, and you're seeing the gratitude for where love is already in your life, you're more likely to charge your energetic field to then resonate with more and more love, because you get more and more of whatever you focus on and whatever you feel. So a huge part of it is becoming aware of what's inside of your field. What are you priming inside of your field with the emotions you're continuously feeling and what you're thinking about? And as you continue to build that inside of your field, you then perceive it more in other people, you perceive it more in reality in general, and your reality begins to shift. So that's like that inside out transformation versus looking for the love, looking for the love, looking for the love, which it's like looking for your keys that you think you've lost, and you go all around the house, you go in your backyard, you can't find your keys, but they're in your pocket. It's kind of the joke of this whole thing, because love is more of a state of consciousness, and you tap into it through your awareness, through your intention, through your attention, and through the embodiment of it and whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful.
It was a lot.
Yeah. I think what I heard you say is focus more on what you want, which is what you are, which is what you already have. And realize once and for all that it's not out there, it's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another beautiful thing that you said, Aaron, was you said, first, like, decide what you want. I think so many people were afraid to decide what we want. I think that we've been so let down in life that we forget that we have the power to decide.
Yeah.
We have the power to create. That is where we are one with God, where God is with us and we are with God, right? Where there is no separation, right? Is that we have the power to create, create whatever we want to create.
Yeah.
And anything that we want in life is perfectly fine, and it's coming.
Right.
As long as you step into that energy.
Yeah.
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 Fantastic. How have you seen that power to create, outside? I want to take it a step further here. Obviously going from shoe sales to now YouTube channel to speaking about something that you probably never thought you'd be speaking about. In many ways, that's what happened with me, right? Yeah. I went from real estate to this. I never thought this would happen. Could you help people out there who are struggling financially, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With understanding
how to transform their life.
Yeah. Well, what really helped me, first off, is I think there's a lot of people out there that may have certain beliefs about money that can be very limiting. I know when I went through my awakening in 2012, there was a period I went through where I thought money was subconsciously bad. Like, to have money, to be spiritual and to have money were like these things that just did not go together. So for a while, I was very reluctant, and I was like, I don't need money. I don't need to focus on this at all. And it was something that I had to really develop a new relationship with. And what really helped me understand it more was understanding that everything in our reality has no built-in meaning other than the meaning we give it. So here I am thinking money is bad. Well, if money is bad, then I don't want to attract something that's bad, right? Or there's these weird connotations that money is not evil. Maybe had these connotations in 2012 where I was like, it's controlled, it's not backed by gold. There were all these mixed associations with it. But eventually what I realized and what really helped me to grow on YouTube and to have an impact that I've had in the world was understanding that we live in this collective consciousness that we're all connected to. And when I made it less about me and more about who I could help and serve, that's where the ideas came. Like I was making daily videos on YouTube. People had asked me like, oh, where do the ideas come from? It was just the act and the desire to make a video a day on YouTube to help people. More and more ideas just came to me. It's like the universe gives you more abundance when you are in service to the greater whole. So I think when you talk about money, money is an energy that we use in this reality to exchange energy. It's just an energy exchange tool. So what most people focus on with money is they focus on how can I get money? And when I used to work my 9-to-5 job, if I went into work and I was like, how can I make $5,000 worth of shoes today? How can I sell $5,000 worth of shoes today so I can make my $500 of commission? It was, how can I take? How can I take? How can I take? And when I went into work and I had the intention of connecting with other people, I had the intention of adding value to the people, I would get a completely different result. And that's how my YouTube channel was kind of built. I was living at my dad's house, selling women's shoes, moved back into them because I wanted to make it on YouTube, sharing what I was learning while I was working selling women's shoes. So I wasn't on a guru on a hill with millions of dollars teaching people the law of attraction. I was like, I went into work today and I had the intention of adding value to other people and have the intention of connecting with them. And I did way better than when I go into work and I'm trying to like just focusing on the goal of the thing I want to get. So eventually what I did is I shifted the energy to focus when I became the YouTuber, and that was my new identity, to how can I add value? How can I give more value than I'm taking and then develop trust with people and to get people to impact them? So it's when you make it about what can I give rather than what can I get, that's the energy that's what you have more control over is what you're giving. And then the exchange eventually comes through the universe because there will be people that have a demand for whatever your gift is that you're giving. So,
you know what's crazy, Aaron? As you said that, you know who I thought of? Like for me, the guy that embodies, you know, spirituality more than anybody is my psychic. Like I love this guy. I love this guy. He's gonna marry us. Like he's just he's just that dear to my heart.
Yeah.
He's like that guy for me, you know? And do you know that he never once asks you for money?
Yeah.
For a session?
Yeah.
He just and for a while there it boggled me. Like it boggled my mind. Like but he helps. The value he gives you is so valuable. I'm like, take my money.
Right.
I'll just whatever you want. It's you know what I mean? Especially during those times where I was going through a dark night of the soul, dude, and like I thought I was gonna die every night. You know? It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
And he was there to guide me and to help me. Like it was so valuable.
Yeah.
And so thank you for sharing that. That was really powerful because I see that he's at such a level that he doesn't even it's just help people and it just comes back.
Yeah, I think eventually we'll get to a place in society where maybe the dynamics do change to where there is more of that energy of like money is maybe a little bit different than it is right now. And maybe that's what cryptocurrency and stuff like that is coming out. But in general, I think money is a resource that we use in our reality. And with that, also, it allows us to play at bigger and bigger levels. You know, when you're trying to run live events that cost $100,000 just to run it, it's like when people say, especially in the spiritual business, you know, spiritual type audience, they'll be like, why does it cost money for this? Well,
hold on. Stop right here. Let me get my popcorn. I'm going to enjoy this right now.
But yeah, it's just funny though, because it costs, you know, it's something that allows you to play at a bigger level to help more people. So it is kind of like a game in a way where you're learning how can I play at a bigger level to add more value to people. And as long as your intention is adding value, it's like the universe conspires to help you because you're trying to impact more and more people with a positive intention.
It's so interesting. I tell my friend, my partner, he's our COO, Tim, I say all the time, I said, the more money we make, the more likely we are to like, I want to buy a piece of land. I'm going to open up our own ayahuasca center. People are going to fly in from all over the world.
Yeah.
We're going to have healthy, organic food. Like, this is coming.
Yeah.
And as long as that's the intention, it's for the service of humanity. Like, it just shows up. It
Right.
just comes.
Yeah, it's magical.
Yeah. And by the way, and you could be serving humanity selling shoes.
Oh, for sure.
You could,
100%.
you could, whatever you do, people all the time do this. They'll go, oh yeah, but I was just on the phone with somebody. Yeah, but you have the gift. You can know how to talk. And I go, no.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Any way in which you could bring value, any way in which you could share love. Maybe it's cooking a meal. Maybe it's putting a beautiful pair of shoes on someone's foot. Whatever it is. Maybe it's being behind the camera. Like, that's your way of giving value.
Yeah.
If you do it in a way that is bringing so much value to that person that you are in service of, right? That they can't be without you.
Yeah.
You never worry about money.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. The people that I worked with, the people that were the top salespeople, were the people that loved selling women's shoes. Most people that I worked with, a lot of them didn't like selling women's shoes, but there were one or two that did, and they were the top salespeople, and they loved it. So it's like, it's interesting because when you do something you love, my passion was not selling women's shoes. And that's why I eventually jumped into making videos on YouTube and doing what I'm doing now. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have to find out what your lane is and what you love and what's expressive of your heart,
And I feel like this is such a good, like a real world conversation for people. But I remember when I was selling real estate, it's like I had a passion for selling real estate because genuinely, like back then I was a Christian, and I sometimes, like, if couples would be fighting, I'd pray with them, like then and there, or I'd tell them, no, like, don't, if I knew, like, yeah, you guys are getting a divorce, okay, I'll sell your house. But if I knew, like, no, there's hope, I'd be like, why don't you guys think about this?
Right.
Like, I don't care about this commission. I care about, like,
right.
And but then the byproduct of that was the commission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that if anybody gets any value out of this whole conversation today, I think that one of the most important things could be to really learn to attune yourself to the safety of being inside of your own body. When you do this, there may be old emotions that come up. There may be old energies that come up, but ultimately what you're doing is you're feeling it to then heal it, to allow them the space in your body for more love, joy, and peace as higher vibrational emotions. It's important on the process of spiritual evolution and growth to realize it's not about spiritually bypassing and just feeling love and joy and peace. It's your ability to embrace the uncomfortable emotions, that some of which may be unprocessed from childhood. And then as you do that, you allow more presence to go inside of your body, and you then allow yourself to feel more magnetic, more at peace with yourself. That will carry through every area of your life. People will respond to you differently the more present you are in your body, and understand that you are an infinite spiritual being living a temporary human experience, and that the more space you create in your body, the more of that natural love that can actually come in.
I love that, man. How do people find out more about you?
Oh, they could go to Instagram or YouTube, Aaron Doughty.
Beautiful. And that's DOUGHTY. I love it. Thanks for being here, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Yeah, man. That's it for this week's episode of The Higher Self. Rewind this one, play it again. This one was good. And we'll see you next week with another episode.